I want to know, like, how do you define man or woman? Because this is essential to talking about.
Yeah, so a woman is an adult human female, and a man is an adult human male. Oxford.
It's a little, that's a little circular. Define female, right? Like,
Female is an adult human. Or sorry, wait, did I say female? I meant woman. So, wait, hold up. Where are we? I'm sorry, my brain is like soup right now. I just had somebody come up and like rip my sign off my table and then try to get into a fight with me. Okay, define woman. Woman is an adult human female. A man is an adult human male. Male and female specifically is defined as a person falling into the sexual category capable of bearing children and producing ova. Those are the Oxford definitions, most credible dictionary in the English language.
I would argue that there are multiple definitions of male and female that are in use outside of just that one. That one is a viable definition, but when we talk about gender, it's also about the expression of it.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It can't be about the expression, because if I put on a wig and a dress right now, I'm not a woman. I can put on a wig and a dress and still not think myself that I'm a woman. So regardless of how I'm expressing myself, that doesn't determine what I am.
Okay.
Like femboys, right? Femboys pretend, they dress very feminine and they sometimes appear as women, but they're not even trying to be women. They're just being more feminine than most men. And that doesn't make them women. So it can't be about expression, because if that was the case, simply appearing as a woman would make you a woman, which isn't the case.
Admitting that they can appear as a different gender betrays the fact that expression does matter in how sex is presented.
I don't think it does at all. I think the only thing that matters with your sex is your biological capabilities, what chromosomes you have. So if you are capable of bearing children and producing ova, you are a man or a woman. If you are capable of producing sperm, you're a man.
Well, let's talk about let's say long hair. Traditionally, right now, that's associated with being a woman.
Yeah.
But back then, in different cultures, that would be associated with being a man. There's a cultural element outside of the biological, right?
Sure, but I think that's a point in my favor, because that just shows that because you do things or present in a way that aligns with what is currently perceived as being feminine or like a woman, that doesn't actually make you a woman.
Biologically, sure.
Well, I think that woman is going to be a biological category. Like when I say that is a woman, I'm talking about a female person. I'm not talking about this is a dude who's pretending to be a woman. I'm talking about this is like a woman. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's offensive to women to caricaturize them and say that this person is actually just a woman.
I think you still, no matter what, you always have to make a distinction between someone who is trans or thinks they're trans versus cisgender people, right? I'm not saying that trans people, like a trans man is not the same as a cis man.
So they're not the same. You're saying they're not the same.
I'm not saying they're not men. I'm saying they're not the same.
So you're saying a trans woman is not the same as a biological woman.
No. Like a square is a rectangle, right? But a square is not the same as the category of rectangle.
I think that would work better in reverse. I wouldn't agree with you. I think that men cannot be women. I think that you can pretend to be a woman and you can present as a woman, but that doesn't mean that you actually are a woman. Like okay, what if I came to campus today and said I'm black? Am I black? What if I painted my skin brown, walked around campus yelling I'm a black man? Does that make me a black man? It's what I'm presenting as.
Give me a moment to think about that. In this hypothetical, would you sincerely think you are black?
Yes.
I think as long as this delusional person is convincing enough.
It's me.
No. Well, you wouldn't. You right now would not
Well,
sincerely
let's say
believe.
in the hypothetical, it's me.
Yeah. If you hypothetically thought you were black and it was convincing enough to other people that you were black, I haven't thought this.
But if it was found out, like somebody did an expose on me and found out that I wasn't black, like let's say they came up and just picked my skin for a second and found out that I was just covered in paint, would people have a reason to be upset at me?
Yes, because you aren't actually that characteristic.
Right, just like in my view would be men are not actually women, and I think it's offensive for men to pretend to be women and sort of undermine what it actually means to be a woman, because being a woman is not easy, right? I mean, like you have to deal with like predatory men, child bearing, you have to deal with like your menstruation, the fact that like women might be viewed as like less valuable as they age by men who, like, if they're still in the dating market, it'll be more difficult for a 40-year-old woman to find a partner because she's going to be less likely to be able to bear children, et cetera, et cetera. And this person is just stepping in and saying, yep, well, I'm wearing a dress, so like I'm just the same as you. I don't think that they are the same, and I think it's very disrespectful and frankly sexist to say that they can be the same.
Actually, I'm thinking about this more thoroughly. If you like act, man, this is really weird.
If I acted black,
you can, like, when people talk about like white people, like some people act sort of white, right?
sure.
Right? Like some people act sort of. There's stereotypes. Stereotypes exist,
Yep.
and you can pass as those things. I guess in an ideal world, people shouldn't really care about race, so I don't think people should be outraged.
Okay.
If there wasn't the historical context of blackface, then I don't think there's actually anything wrong with this hypothetical camp.
But is it true? Is it true that I'm black?
I mean, race is just a social category as well.
But it is tied to like actual characteristics. Like there are like slight physical differences in the phenotypes between white and black people. Like black people tend to have larger noses. White people tend to have smaller ears. White people tend to have smaller lips. Or if, as my viewers tell me, in my case, no lips. So like there are differences between black and white people, and it is a baseline category of people. And I think that black people would probably,
these categories is somewhat arbitrary, right? Like if I sample the people that have red hair and sample the people that are black hair, you're going to get very different results.
sure. But I think if I pretended to be black and bathed in a pool of brown paint, I think most black people would be justified in being upset about that.
Or I'm not like in the current world, if you were to do that, yes, it would be very offensive. But in a better world where race doesn't matter as much, right? Like socially, then that shouldn't matter.
What ethnicity are you?
I'm Chinese.
Okay, you're Chinese. So what if I
American?
What if I pretended to be Chinese? Like, what if I did something like there's no history of like Chinese face in the United States, but what if I? Okay, you'd think it's funny, but like, what if I did something like, I don't know, I don't want to be offensive here, but like, if I like clothespinned my eyes and like, I don't know, like walked or like somehow made myself shorter in some way and like just pretended to be Chinese and like, walked around in some kind of clothes that Chinese people would wear and just said like, I am actually Chinese. Like, do you think that some Chinese people would be offensive? Like, would your grandma be justified in being offended by that?
I don't think my parents would. Actually, I don't think anyone in my family would care.
Okay,
I actually think this is, if for Asian people, it's a little different than compared to other, like.
Sure. Do you think that it would be? Do you think that it would be make me actually a Chinese person though? I think is really the root of the question. It's not about whether people would be offended by it. It's like, does it actually make me a Chinese person?
There's a thing about, I think race requires some level of like lineage when you're talking about it socially, but gender not
I would think that being a man or a woman would require like a biological fixture. Like you are going to have these chromosomes XX or XY, and you're going to have to be capable of doing one biological thing or another, like bearing children or producing sperm.
Like if you have like two white parents and try to express yourself as black, there's something wrong with that because like there's some like lineage.
What if I said, well, I found out that I'm 1% black, and then I said that I am a black person?
I think you are.
Really?
Yeah, I guess.
I actually have some like small degree.
It really depends on who you ask.
And like what if I also have some larger than the black percentage, but like some small degree of like Native American. Like what if I just started like walking around in a headdress?
I mean, it's arbitrary. It's somewhat arbitrary where you have to draw.
I think it's ridiculous. It's not race. You're right. Is not as concrete as sex.
No, I'm saying race as a category and gender are different because when you talk about race, there's like you need like some like family line.
Right. Race is a little different. It's less concrete than sex. But like, okay, what if I wanted to be like a lizard? What if I said, and I, the guy from Ripley's Believe It or Not, I like tattooed scales all over me. I got my eyes changed so that there is a slit.
Well, I
got my tongue split so it runs forked now. Like, am I actually a lizard?
There's no humans that pass as lizards, so there's no cultural standard for lizard passing.
What if I? Well, but it doesn't matter because like people who don't pass as female still claim that they're female. Like they say I'm a woman, but they don't look or sound like a woman.
Yeah, they're just bad at passing.
But they still think they're a woman. So it's like I might not pass as a lizard, but I probably pass more than some men pretending to be women. I probably pass better as a lizard, right, than they do as a woman. And so it doesn't make sense to me that they can be a woman with like literally changing nothing about themselves, or they can be a man changing nothing about themselves, but I can't be a lizard actually changing things about myself. It's like I just don't believe in this idea that you can be things that you are not. Like a square is a square, you're a man, you're a woman.
You can't ever be the biological category of whatever that thing is, but you can be the social definition of what that is. And what is wrong with allowing that?
Because I think when you start putting it into policy, like we've done here, you end up with transgender people in women's sports. You end up with Leah Thomas smashing every record that he competed for at the University of Pennsylvania, taking those accolades from women. I see Leah Thomas winning the NCAA championship and stripping that from a woman. I see Peyton McNabb being spiked in the face with a volleyball by a man and then smashing her head off the ground behind her, walking away with a brain injury and a skull fracture.
Well, I think that's just bad policy. Couldn't you just write it that if you have some we have weight classes for boxing, why don't we have testosterone classes? Like I'm being really serious actually.
Because there wouldn't be enough. So like I hear proposed a lot like a transgender league, like a separate league for trans people, and I think you just end up.
I'm not talking about trans league. I'm talking about not organizing people based on.
Well, I think your testosterone would fluctuate, right? So like your testosterone is, as a man, also going to be
right, but judged average levels, right?
Right, but it can change. Like your average levels can change, right? Like if you right now drastically changed your diet and started exercising a lot more, your levels of testosterone would likely shift.
I would suppose you have to aggregate it like based on like a monthly basis or something, or like.
So it's like every month you get switched to a different team. It just seems like it wouldn't be feasible. It's like the reason we have separate leagues for men and women.
People change their weight all the time. This is another biological, like just because there's an issue in transport. I may even agree with you.
Well, testosterone also doesn't determine like being a man innately will cause you to have a greater bone density, more muscle mass, et cetera, than a woman. And that's unrelated to your testosterone, right? You're going to have that innately as a man, and you can inject estrogen or whatever, but that's not going to change your bone density, at least not to a degree drastic enough to prevent you from like severely harming a woman.
I don't actually know anything about that, but you should just group people based on a different factor than just gender. Like in sports,
I mean, I think you'd end up with the huge problem. Like you said, like
people testosterone
testosterone levels. I think you'd end up with a huge problem. Like because these are team sports, and you're likely not going to be able to find enough people to put on a team in a high school, right? Like my high school had like 100. I graduated with 100 kids, or my graduating class at my first school had 100 kids, and then when I was a senior, I moved, and my graduating class had 40 kids. We barely had enough team people to start on the soccer team. You know what I mean? Let alone like now you're dividing people into different like testosterone level categories. And wrestling is different. Like you have weight classes. You can pull that off at some high schools because you're only looking for one opponent, right? So if you have two guys that fall into the same weight class, that's sufficient for the wrestling match. Whereas like if you need 5 people that fit that weight class or that testosterone class, you're going to be far less likely to find them.
Just because there's an issue in trans sports doesn't mean that we should throw away a social category of.
Well, I don't think that it is throwing away social category. I think blurring the lines and saying that men can be women is throwing away the social category. I think we already have for the past like thousands of years we've known that like men are men and women are women. And it's like all of a sudden since I don't know, like the past 2 decades, it's now men can be women and it actually doesn't matter anymore. And it just doesn't make any sense. And it's just an objective falsehood. Like men cannot be women.
Biological men can't be biological.
Yes, that's what a woman is, an adult human female.
There's something beyond the biology.